Hi.
Hi.
I don't know why this is so formal. I'm just going to make it fun. So, you guys are doing your little book talks with all the teachers. Who else is coming?
Mr. Duffy.
A lot of people have it?
Yeah.
I think it's a really cool thing that what you guys have back there. I mean, there's a lot of cool areas that you can read and look at. Like Dan, you have the Dan Brown stuff?
Mm-hmm. All the way to your left.
Yeah. I like reading a lot of his stuff, like Angels and Demons. That was probably my favorite book that he did. Deception Point was another good one. I like that kind of writing. I'm not going to go read Harry Potter. I'm not going to read The Hobbit, even though I'm the star of it. I'm not going to read fantasy type stuff. I don't like that type of writing. It doesn't do anything for me. I just would rather read something more of a historical fiction type novel. The book I'm going to tell you about is this one, Tom Brokaw's Greatest Generation. If you haven't noticed, with Veterans Day, I kind of have a passion about helping veterans and honoring them and doing other things. So, end of the year, you guys will actually do some writing some letters to honor flight to support those guys. But this book is all about World War II. Talks about their life, talks about what they did. It talks about how they basically won the war. And there's stories in there from every walk of life, from men, women, children. And the one story that I find fascinating in there, and I don't remember the guy's name off the top of my head right now, but he met his wife in New York City, and they were there for like 3 days. And next thing you know is he gets shipped out. He gets shipped over to Okinawa after they invaded it. And she didn't know what to do. They weren't married at the time in New York. They just met each other there for 3 days, and then they left. And next thing you know, he's walking on the beach of Okinawa. The first lady off the boat as a nurse was his future wife, who he met in New York City months earlier. So it just tells personal stories. It tells what their life was like. That's what I like to read. I don't want to go sit there and read about some wizard putting magic spells onto a hobbit dude or something like that.
No.
That has no interest in me at all. I'd much rather read about history and read about things that actually could happen, not are fake. Okay. And if you guys have any questions about the military, Coach Rapp would be a great person to talk to about it, but I highly recommend this. I think if you don't have Mr. Gillette because you're in English class with Mrs. Damon. So last year you guys might have read the introduction to this book, possibly. You might do it again this year because it just talks about all walks of life. And do you read Things They Carry?
No.
Okay.
Should we?
Yeah. I mean, being in a military setting, being in the war, you carry your gun, you carry your backpack, you carry the supplies that you physically need. But what else do you mentally carry? And that's another thing that soldiers had to deal with, of the emotional standpoint and the psychological standpoint. Because in war, you don't know when you're going to die. You don't know if it's going to be 5 minutes when you get started in the battle. You don't know if it's going to be 2.5 years later. And that's what these guys had to do. And I just find it fascinating. I'm sure Mrs. Dana could talk to you about what it is like living with a military guy, because her father was in Vietnam, and the stories are great. If you ever get to meet a World War II veteran, talk to them. They want to listen. They want to talk. They're 97, 98, 99 years old now. They're old, and we're losing 1,700 a day, and that's why I like hearing these stories about them and getting to meet them. Okay, so that's what I like to read. I also read your A-Push essays, which is fun. But during the school year, I'm not going to lie, I don't get a lot of book reading done just because of grading essays so much and coaching hockey. It just kind of doesn't get in my wheelhouse. But in the summer, that's all I try to do is read books and pick up other things to read. Okay? Questions? Oh, Nadia.
Do you like science fiction or anything like that?
Sometimes. I'm not really big into that kind of thing, though. It doesn't really, no. It depends what it is. Like, Dan Brown was more like kind of a science fiction. The Deception Point was. I liked that, but that also had a historical component to it as well.
Have you read I think it's called Sunrise Over Lake. And then it's a weird like Fallujah or something like that.
I have not.
It's about like the war in Iraq in 2008. It's like how he joins this like young guy joins the military because like his father and his uncle and his grandfather was in it, and like he doesn't really understand like I don't know, like why they won't talk about it, and then at the end, like, it shows like everything he's gone through. It's really good.
Do you guys understand the purpose of Veterans Day? Do you guys get what that was for yesterday? Honor those guys. And next year, my whole goal is to get some females up there, because there's just not many of them. So if you know anyone, any females that were a part of the military that fought or supported it some way, let me know.
Someone, but she's not alive anymore.
Exactly, yeah,
Yeah.
that's the hard part.
I had my cousin and I wrote her down last year, but they said I couldn't do that because it was an immediate family.
Well, let me know next time. Okay.
I always miss it. I mean to put down like my grandparents, but then it's always too late.
Sorry.
I was stressed out.